Hello and welcome to today's podcast. Today we have some really interesting topics to discuss. Okay.
Yes, let's start then.
So on to the first one. How to recognize manipulative behaviors with others.
Well, do you want to start or should I?
I can start. Okay, so I have met this girl. She's an addict, and she says that she uses others in order to get drugs.
Yeah.
And in a way that is manipulative, because she gives them hope that they will have some like a cozy night, but they never get it. But as long as the hope is up for them, they're fine doing it, like giving her.
Yeah, it's a very manipulative behavior. It's also quite mean to those men, and it's also quite desperate from them. That woman is taking advantage of them, and they can't even realize it themselves. But I do not know her situation, but it seems quite douchey to manipulate men that are desperate to get drugs. And what other things did she ask for?
It's basically just that. But in a way also, I think that men must kind of learn also to not like give someone just everything just because, you know, that, how would you say, like simp or something, or how would you say it?
I would say simp, but I can also say some people are just extremely desperate for companionship.
Yeah, I think that some men these days are just too desperate to get what they want, and they are just lost in the herds. They just want this like
physical connection.
I mean like this, just one night, you know.
One night stand.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of men are quite desperate for that nowadays, especially since it's starting to get harder for young men and older men to get any sort of love or affection from the opposite sex.
Yeah, but why do we think that?
Well, it's harder.
Because of social media, maybe?
Oh,
because
well,
you don't like socialize and go and get the social skills?
This just feels like a personal jab at me.
Sorry. You meant that.
Well, it can be a mix of all of them, but a lot. Many men are usually in psychology told to be more independent. They like to form close-knit, small friend groups, whilst women usually have quite a big friend group that makes them quite influential and talkative to all of their friends.
Yeah, but I think social skills is just experience.
Well, it
like
is.
You can't read it. You can't read yourself to it.
Yeah, but it is. I myself had problems with a manipulative person. He destroyed my self-confidence to such a point it was incredibly hard for me to socialize. I still have a hard time socializing. That guy was incredibly mean, put me down constantly, and made me a social pariah at my school before me and you met.
Yeah.
It made me incredibly hard. It made it incredibly hard for me to get friends. I had a small friend group in that school, but those were also the outcasts that he had forced out of the social circle in our school, the social hierarchy.
Yeah, like, and how do you think does that still impact you to this day?
Quite a bit. I lack the self-confidence to talk to a lot of people. I've developed quite a disdain to some people. I'm afraid of the school that we went to together, that guy and me. I'm literally in therapy because of that.
Yeah. And I have like known you since what is it, 7th grade?
7th grade, yeah.
And I know, like, you weren't very like social in the beginning, but then later on, like, you have developed quite some social skills actually.
Yeah, but that was because for me in the beginning, I was very defensive. I was still in that fight or flight mode that I had developed in my first school. I had the first couple of weeks I just got into constant fights because I didn't let anyone mess with me. I was constantly afraid. People thought it was funny to mess with me because I got so angry constantly.
Yeah. But continuing on, this also leads to
our next question.
Or next topic, that is, if like saying something controversial, but you leave no room for critique or someone to like pick on you.
Yeah, there is a few things you can do. A manipulative person who uses those techniques to emphasize their status. They leave no room for anyone to argue against them by making sure that it is as hard as possible to do that, and they are incredibly charming whilst they do it. But that doesn't automatically mean that they're manipulative.
No, like, we had this one guy in our class,
yeah.
and he had this like aura of just, he was charming, he had like girls and everything, like he was funny, but he could also be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, he was incredibly charming, and there were actually two of them in our class. Both had the same name, but they were both incredibly charming, and didn't leave room for us to speak up against them.
No.
But they were always quite kind. Sometimes it got annoying because you couldn't argue. It was hard. It made it that you either didn't follow their lead or followed their lead, but you didn't actually have a choice. It was either to be a social outcast or to be follow their lead.
Yeah, but I also think like it wasn't like hard to like form. I think that they were pretty good, like, people.
Yeah, they were both very kind. I still regularly text one of them, but the other one just completely ghosted me. It wasn't that he forgot to text back or didn't text back because he didn't like me. His phone got destroyed and he didn't save his phone number, so I lost contact that way.
Yeah. So what can this also brings us to the last topic.
Yeah.
Which is we're gonna see here. Finding a true friend. Like, if you think about it, we are like almost the complete opposites.
Religion doesn't add up. We don't ethnicities. We are. You're from where I'm from, a different country. We don't have the same belief systems. We
don't even have the same personalities or anything.
Yeah, I even grew up in a rough part of this city. He grew up pretty sheltered, if I can say so. You're pretty naive still. You're kind. You're just a little naive.
Yeah.
You can be a little bit too trusting.
Yeah, like the difference between two of us, like I'm more like optimistic, and you're more like grounded, and you're more like on the logical side of the beliefs you have,
Yeah.
and like in a way that's also complementing the two of us, because sometimes I am like having this idea, I'm visionary, I'm just too optimistic sometimes, and
Yeah, you're up in the clouds.
yeah,
Well, I have the rope that brings you down.
yeah, and sometimes he's just down there in the ground, and I like to dig him up or something.
Yeah, that happens. I'm quite a pessimist. Many have said to me I should be more optimistic, but I've had it. What shall I say? Okay, a little rough, but mostly I've had it quite fine as a child.
Yeah, but how do we think that, like, how have we been able to become friends?
Well, it's maybe because we are complete opposites. We complement each other. We're fine with taking critique. You constantly. We aren't even this. We don't even like the same thing most of the time. You like horror. I like comedy. That's. Do you?
No, just like earlier this day, we like listened to music, and we are like we don't even have the like even close to the same taste. Like I love what you call here in Sweden, where we are.
Epadunk.
Epadunk, which is yeah, music that you play in this slow-going car, and it can be a little bit dirty in the text sometimes, or often it is.
I want to also say something. This has nothing to do with this, but it's such a bad genre of music that four of my teachers have threatened to fail me for an entire year if I put that music on in class. I don't even like it, but they said the moment we entered, if you put that music on, I fail you for the entire year.
But I'm just like in love with that music. Like I really like it. I listen to it all the time, and it gives me like, how do you say, like confidence and ego. How do you say?
Well, it's fine. I don't hate the music. I liked it in the 9th grade, but most of it is not even that good. It's very, very specifically oriented to Sweden. Not even all Swedish people can relate to it. It's quite a unique genre of music.
Yeah. So if we should like plug this up here, so I would say like how we have become friends is that we can accept critique from each other.
Yeah, I would say so. I can confidently say that I can accept what he says to me. He can say to me sometimes that I am doing something stupid, and I will say, okay, I will listen to you. But if I don't think so myself, I'll try it, and if I'll argue. But if he proves me right, I will confidently say I will follow his word.
Yeah.
But I have built such good trust with him. I most of the time just follow his word.
Yeah. But that was it for today.
Yeah.
See you another time.
Have a good
Goodbye.
night or day. See you later.